Howdy, ALEC 301. This is Abby Hahn. I am one of the graders for this class. Today, I wanted to talk to y'all about how to best use Packback. We use this function for the discussion boards as well as the reflection journals. And once we sent out our Google form for y'all to fill out, part of the feedback was not knowing how to score super well on Packback discussion posts or reflection journals. So I kind of wanted to walk through that today. So I'm going to share my screen real quick with you guys. I'm going to go here. So right here, as you can see, are the learning objectives for this week. So it says after completing this module, you'll be able to translate the practice of challenge the process into your own strategies for framing commitments. You'll be able to synthesize creativity content to develop a plan for applying it to your future roles. Practice articulating alternate designs or plans for your future. And then on the next page, we go through the overview and the to-do list. And then following that includes the reading resources. So basically, your Packback discussions, you work through the readings and resources every single week, as y'all have been doing since the beginning of this class. And then you pick an idea that you're most interested in, and you get to ask a question about it. And so on here, we get to learn about challenging the process. We get to learn about building creativity, why we need to be creative. It talks about achieving balance as a leader. And then there are all of these resources within these different topics for this week. So I'm right now in one of Dr. Odom's graduate classes, and we have Packback both every week too. So I'm going to show you guys an example of what one might look like and how to write it. So this past week, we had to turn in our Packback 5. The initial question or instructions are pretty much the same for both classes. So after reviewing the material that I just showed y'all for week 6, you're asked to develop a question that you know the content about. The question should not be one that has one answer only, so it should be a more open-ended question. So I'm gonna scroll down to my post real quick to show y'all how I kind of came up with a question. So for that week's content, we went over personal mastery and had several assigned readings. One of our assigned readings was from a book called The Culture Code. We had to read chapters 11 and 12, and these readings piqued my interest the most. So that's why I chose to use that as a resource, which you can see as in the bottom. I have cited right here. But for my question, I had to put a little bit of background information before creating my question. So in chapter 11 of the Culture Code, it references, I believe he was an engineer. His last name's Nyquist, and he was known for his warmth and relentless curiosity in his organization. And so I first needed to mention that reference of material from our readings. And then after that, I wanted to ask the question, how might these desirable qualities, which are warmth and relentless curiosity, for culture impact the organizational hiring process? So HR is something that I'm interested in. It's something I've gotten to learn in nonprofit classes. And so ultimately, I wanted to connect those interests with what we read and how what we read might impact that part of an organization. So that's how I came up with my question. The curiosity score should go up as you have more information provided before asking your question. So I suggest if you have a low initial curiosity score, please include a little bit more substance to say this is the reading that I went through, or this is the resource I'm pulling from. This is a little bit of background context as to why I'm asking this question to just make that connecting point. What I've learned is Packback really um, wants you to provide as much of a resource as you can in order to boost that score. And then after that, I wrote a little paragraph as to how this question came about, why it piqued my interest. I made sure to use citations. Um, Anyways, so I wrote, Coil depicts people with the same two qualities as spark plugs of an organization. They bring a level of care for people that changes the entire dynamic of teams and overall culture. Nyquist, the engineer, was gifted not only as a good listener, but also a good question asker. He got those around him to think deeply and shift their perspectives. These are excellent qualities to possess when building space that requires human cooperation. My question for this chapter is, how might you learn whether people possess these traits or not in the hiring process? If they're not automatically identifiable, how could we adapt the process so that more like-minded slash operating people are hired? So ultimately, this paragraph right here provides me and the other TAs more background and context for what y'all are referring to whenever you ask these questions. It also just reiterates the information that you've just learned. Um, Anyways, so doing all of these things, including a source, should help boost your score. I'm going to go back into discussions and find a new packback to go through. Oh, I guess we do not have any open assignments just yet. Okay. Basically, in order to create a discussion post that will receive a higher curiosity score, we suggest that there just be more content included. What are some interests of yours that might have connected to this material? In your own words, what does this material mean to you? All of those things should boost your curiosity score. As y'all know too, Packback, as you're writing these questions, gives you different subsections of how you're scoring your overall curiosity score. This includes, I believe, credibility, a source, convention, so how the material is written, grammar, etc. So under each of these should include specific examples for how to boost your score. Like, for example, under the grammar section, it should pinpoint what words are either written incorrectly or should be replaced with a different word or should be eliminated. It will include all of those things, and you just have to click confirm change and it will change it, and that should also increase your score. So make sure before you're posting these questions, or the the question as a whole, that you're going through all of those different subsections to make sure that your circles are complete so that your curiosity score is boosted. Whenever you're writing these questions, if you've not finished one of the sections, like for example, you haven't included a source yet, on Packback, it might say for your curiosity score that it's in between a 30 and a 70. That means that in order to complete your assignment and receive over a 70, you're going to have to go back and include that source. So if you're missing any of the components, Packback on the side is going to say exactly what that is. Me and the other TAs are trying to make sure that we include feedback within either discussion posts or reflection journals. Um, Citations are required for both. Um, so if you do not have those components, actually, no, I think it's just for the discussion questions. So if you do not have those components, that will be flagged, that will affect your score. If your curiosity score is less than 70%, that's going to affect your grade as well because it's technically incomplete. If you do not reply to um, two or more students, that's going to affect your score. So I hope that this video was informative as to why you might be receiving the grades that you are through Packback. If you have any frustrations or other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know. But overall, I hope that this is informative. But yeah, I hope that y'all have a great rest of your day.